Hi everyone, I'm here today with my June book haul. As you will have seen before even clicking onto this video, this is a long one. I have noticed the more I read, the more I tend to end up accumulating books. So this is a very long video. I didn't see the point in chopping it up into sections because I wasn't really willing as much as anything to edit two massive videos. I may as well just get on with it and just do one. So get a drink. Personally got a good cold glass of Coke on the go, which I'm going to need to talk you through I think I counted it out at 59 books that I added to my Kindle in the month of June. This is not counting all the free books that I also added to my Kindle during the month of June. That's somewhere I don't think that I will ever be exploring because that would add up into the hundreds. I have a problem. Also, my hay fever's terrible and I really just want to rub my eyes, so hopefully I can resist. But if not, you know why the makeup suddenly starts dropping down my face as the video goes on. So as ever, I will start off with the Kindle books I purchased. And we are starting off with The Lonely Fajita by Abigail Mann. This is a book that I don't know an awful lot about, but I've seen people mention it. And in the description it says, if you liked the flat share, you will love this book. I loved the flat share, so I'm willing to give this a go on that alone. And I only got it for 99p anyway. The next book I grabbed was The Call by Peadar. And I got this for like 49p or something, which is absolutely amazing. It's still at this moment in time 49p on Kindle, so if you wanted to get this book and you've had your eye on it, now's the perfect time. I don't remember what this is about, but I know I've been interested in it for so long. The description says 3 minutes and 4 seconds, the length of time every teenager is called from the moment they vanish to the moment they reappear. So I'm guessing this is definitely down a thriller direction, and I've been wanting to read this for so long. The next book I grabbed was a 99p bargain. This is The Hypnotist love story by Liane Moriarty. Liane Moriarty is an author that I love. I adored The Husband's Secret. I adored, what's it called? 9 Perfect Strangers? Something like that. And so I'm trying to think whether they're the only books I've read by her or whether I've read others. Either way, I also now have this one and I absolutely adore her writing, so I'm sure I'm going to love it. Then I picked up another historical romance, which is something I've been accumulating but not reading. I really need to sort my reading life out. This is The Wallflower Wager by Tessa. This is an author I keep hearing an awful lot about on BookTube, and so I really wanted to check her work out, and this was on deal for 99p. Next we have another favourite author. This is Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. I have read some other Liz Nugent books, so I can't think what they are called. I also own a couple of other books, so I'm really looking forward to checking out more of her thrillers because I love her dark characters, and I just had to get this while it was 99p. This one isn't 99p any longer, it's currently £3.49, so it was a good one for me to grab while I could. And the final book that I purchased in the month of June is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And this is a classic that I've been wanting to read for so long. So many people seem to love this classic, and so finally saw my chance to swoop in and buy it. From there, I'm going to move on to the books that I received for free from the publishers via NetGalley. There are far too many of these. I'm feeling a little bit stressed out by my NetGalley TBR just because I'm trying to actually keep on top of it. And I can feel myself already slipping behind, which is stressing me the fuck out. But there we go. So the first book that I grabbed in the month of June was Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis. This comes out on the 9th of July, so I need to crack on and read this pretty sharpish. This is a thriller, described as the must-have thriller of 2020. We'll see, shall we? I'll be the judge of that. Thank you very much. It's also described as being something where if you like Stephen King, you'd like this. Again, we'll see, shall we? Also described as being Scream meets the Babadook in small town USA. I don't know what the Babadook is, but the Scream bit, yeah, sure, I like Scream. So this is about a daughter of a celebrated horror filmmaker. She thinks that nothing will scare her. Her father gets attacked and something about locals being weirdly obsessed with a film. The next book I picked up was The Killings at Kingfisher Hill by Sophie Hannah. This is one of the new Hercule Poirot, oh my goodness, Poirot mysteries. I've not read any Agatha Christie, but I want to, so hoping to be able to do that sooner rather than later. So this one comes out on the 20th of August. Next we have a book that I'm currently reading. I've been currently reading this for over a week. I'm not overly enjoying it, but I think it's me that's the problem because I'm in a bit of a reading slump still. So hopefully I can include this in my next reading wrap up. But this is Artemis Fowl by Eowyn Colfer. Hopefully I said that correctly. Or Aoife will want to shoot me. But yeah, this is basically being pushed out right now to help advertise the fact that the film has recently been added to Disney Plus. I have Disney Plus. I haven't yet watched it. I don't currently feel the need to watch it because I'm not enjoying the book an awful lot, but we shall see. Next we have The Chalet by Catherine Cooper. This comes out on the 12th of November, so I've got at least a little while to play catch up and get to this one. And this is a thriller. As the cover says, 4 guests, 1 luxury getaway, 1 perfect murder. That's all I know about this one. It's got something to do with the French Alps in 1998, but it's also set in present day. Next we have Call Me Joe by Martin Van Es and Andrew Crofts. This is a book that's about the world on the brink of disaster. The environment, society and mankind itself are facing extreme challenges in a world that is both more connected and yet more divided than ever before. Fear and confusion seep into all parts of everyday life. Now more than ever, the world needs one voice, one guide. It's got something to do with God as well, but it just sounded like quite doomsy, which was something I was kind of in the mood for when I requested it. Next we have Playing Nice by J.P. Delaney. This is a thriller author whose books I know I acquire and haven't read any of, and I also don't hear an awful lot about overall. This comes out on the 6th of August and involves some babies getting mixed up at birth. Next we have a book that I've actually read. This is Safe by S.K. Barnett. This comes out on the 11th of June. And this I really quite enjoyed. It's a very dark thriller though, and focuses on a lot of child abuse because this story focuses on a girl that goes missing as a child and comes back when she's a teenager and she'd been kidnapped. So if that's something you can't deal with, don't pick this book up. There are many triggers involved with this book. If you want to know more about my thoughts and opinions on this one, I will leave my review link in the cards and also the description down below so you can check that out. Next we have How to Disappear by Gillian McAllister, and this comes out on the 9th of July. It's about a girl called Zara who witnesses a terrible crime and will pay the price if she speaks up. And that's all I'm going to read of that, as I'm scared that'll get spoiled if I read any lower. Next we have Deadly Education, or rather A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I acquired a few of her books over time and not read any of them still. It's quite a bad habit of mine. But when I saw this one, I had to jump on it because this one sounds like the one that will be most up my series yet. My series? Most up my series? Well, yeah. But most up my street yet. This is introduced as a dangerous school for the magically gifted where failure means certain death. I'm so excited for this book. I can't even tell you. It comes out on the 29th of September. Then I picked up The Shelf by Helly Acton. This comes out on the 9th of July. It's an adult contemporary. Oh yes, it's this one. This girl gets taken away by a boyfriend on holiday and she thinks maybe he's going to pop the question. What he actually does is enroll her onto a TV show, a reality TV show where he dumps her, and she has to try and kind of get through life and get through this TV show with that, from what I remember. This sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to pick this one up. Next we have Beach Read, which comes out on the 20th of August. I think this is already out in some capacity though. I think it might be the physical copy that's out the 20th of August, and meanwhile the digital copy is already out, as I have seen quite a few people reading this, and I'm sure I've seen it for sale on Amazon as well, the more I think about it. This is about two writers who get writer's block and so decide to swap what they're writing about, and I think they might write each other's books, or they write each other's genres from what I remember people saying, so excited for this one. Then we have The Story of Silence by Alex Myers. I'm not going to lie to you, I originally requested this one because I saw that cover and was like, wow, what a shade of pink. Obviously I've read the description before requesting, but it was the cover very much that drew me in. This comes out on the 9th of July. And this is a nightly fairy tale of royalty and dragons, of midwives with secrets and dashing strangers in dark inns, and is inspired by an original French legend. Next up we have Mother Loves Me by Abby Davis. This comes out on the 17th of September. It's a thriller. I honestly can't work out what this one's about from the description. Something about a little girl and some dolls and another girl, and yeah, no idea. It looks like it's going to be a weird one. Next up we have My Backward Life by Claire Merle, and this comes out on the 16th of July. So this is a YA contemporary, quite a hard-hitting one. So it focuses on a girl who remembers collapsing on her way home from a gig, and a boy tries to save her. 6 days later she's woken up, but she's not in the hospital, she's at home, and it seems like her life has gone on without her. Everything is messed up. Her best friends hate her. She's hanging out with a girl she barely knows. A boy called Dylan wants to meet up and give her a letter. As it turns out, Dylan isn't just any boy, it's the boy who tried to save her. So I've got no idea what route this is going down, and I'm interested to find out. Next up we have The Collector by John MAHER. Probably saying that incredibly wrong. MAHER? Doubt it. I'm not sure, sorry. This comes out on the 5th of July, and this is another thriller. It says, they say human life is the most precious thing. The Collector doesn't agree. I'm thrilled at the thought of this one. Next we have a more fun looking one. This is Wife Support System by Kathleen Wyman. This comes out on the 29th of July. It says, we've got the balance all wrong. Instead of living with our partners, struggling to do everything by ourselves and only seeing each other now and then, we should do it the other way round. We should live together and see them now and then. Which, my mind's confused by that. But either way, I was quite intrigued at what direction this is potentially going in. And I think there'll be quite a bit of drama in there. If the cover's anything to go by, there's going to be a lot of dirty laundry. Then we have The End by Mats Strandsberg, and this comes out on the 6th of October. This is a disaster book. A meteor races toward Earth. Two teens search for the truth behind the murder of a friend, even as they face down their last days. This is apparently Dry meets Sadie. We'll see, shall we? I've not actually read Dry, but I have read Sadie, and I know a lot about Dry because it's like high up on my I really need to pick up list, so I've got a good idea. And it says, when will the world end? With Foxworth, a massive meteor hurtling toward Earth, humanity now knows the exact date. I'm really up for this book. Next up we have an absolutely stunning cover. Do you not agree? This is The Nesting by CJ Cook. This comes out on the 15th of October, and again is one that pulled me in initially from the amazing cover. This is described as being atmospheric, gothic, spine-chilling, and basically this is a thriller set in the remote snows of Norway, from what I can see. I love a thriller set in different places. It's nice to just not read about the same sort of English or American thrillers. Next we have This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins, and this comes out on the 15th of October. It says, get ready to fall for this year's most extraordinary love story. I think I've already read this year's most extraordinary love story, so I would disagree, but I will give this a try. I'll let you find out. accordingly. Quinn and Minnie are born on New Year's Eve in the same hospital 1 minute apart. They end up going about their lives in totally different ways, and then they somehow end up meeting up again, basically, I think. Next up we have The Day I Disappeared by Brandy Reeds. This comes out on the 25th of August. It says a terrifying crime reunites a mother and daughter in a novel of psychological suspense. 3 months after 4-year-old Holly was kidnapped. There's a lot, I must say, from what I've noticed, a lot of thrillers right now focusing on kids being kidnapped. Don't know whether it's just me and the sort of stuff I've been picking up, but a lot more than normal, I feel. Next up we have What Are Friends For by Lizzie O'Hagan. This comes out on the 17th of September, and this is another one where they compare it to the flat share. Sliding Doors meets the flat share meets One Day in December in this sweeping romantic comedy for the digital age. Perfect for fans of Josie Silver and Beth O'Leary. I'll be the judge of that, thank you. Next up we have Before the Crown by Flora Harding. This comes out on the 17th of September. This is a historical romance set in Windsor Castle in 1943. Then we have Love Unscripted by Owen Nichols. This comes out on the 9th of July. So this follows a character called Nick whose life has been picture perfect. He's been working his dream job, been dating the love of his life, the coolest woman he's ever met, yada 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 yada, until one day she moves out. Okay, cue drama. And then next up we have Dead Perfect by Noelle Holten. This comes out on the 16th of October. This is a thriller. There's a murdered woman and a crime thriller by the seams of it. Then we have, not gonna lie, I was struck to get this one on title alone. This is Loner by Georgina Young. This comes out on the 19th of February next year. And this is set in Melbourne and is described as being a humorous and heartfelt exploration of new adulthood. Next up we have The Home by Matt Strandberg. I'm sure I had another one by this author earlier in the haul. Sure I did. This comes out on the 6th of August. This is a adult horror novel. So these two characters haven't spoken in 20 years. One of them's mother develops dementia. They have no choice but to return home. Something to do with the mother's health deteriorating and something else weird going on. Eerie story about love, friendship, and the greatest fear of losing control of ourselves. Next up we have I Stole My Genius Sister's Brain by Jo Simmons. This comes out on the 6th of August. So Keith has entered the Junior Mega Brain Quiz and he's determined to win. The problem is he's not really a genius. Even worse, his sister Minerva actually is. And Keith will have to go head to head against her. This just sounds like such a fun read. You know, sometimes you just need a bit of escapism in the most extreme way possible. Next up we have Sunrise on the Coast by LILAC Mills. This comes out on the 6th of July. So this is a women's fiction romance novel. It says when a holiday becomes something more, life on the island isn't all sun, sea and siestas. Escape to a Spanish island with this gorgeous uplifting romance perfect for fans of Holly Martin, Sue Moorcraft and Mandy Baggett. I haven't read anything by any of those authors, so if you say so. Next up we have People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. This comes out on the 14th of January next year. They're pretty on it with this Pan Macmillan, introducing 2021's most scintillating debut thriller. People Like Her is a story about truth and lies, motherhood and social media, and the lengths some people will go to, not only for revenge, but also to be liked. For fans of Liane Moriarty and Lucy Foley. So, got high expectations for this one if you're going to compare to those authors. Next we have How to Save a Life by Eva Carter. This comes out on the 11th of March next year. Joel's heart stops as the rest of the world welcomes the start of a new century. What happens next will change the course of 3 people's lives forever. And this is just a general fiction novel that has a love story, I think. Next we have The Imposter by Anna Wharton. This comes out on the 8th of April next year. This is a thriller novel. It's described as spine-chilling suspense about obsession, loneliness and the lies we tell ourselves in order to live with ourselves. Apparently everyone in the house is hiding something. The question is, whose secrets are the most dangerous? Next up we have 16 Horses by Greg Buchanan. I don't know, sorry. This comes out on the 20th of May next year, which is just absolutely insane to think that we're in July and I've got a book that comes out next May already in my possession. Apparently 16 horses are dead. Each has been buried with a single eye facing the sun. This is going to be some really weird, massively fucked up thriller, I think. It's also a literary fiction thriller, so might be a bit harder for me to get through. Next up we have Never Forget by Michelle Bussey. I'm trying to put an accent on that, I'm failing. This comes out on the 9th of July, and of course this is another thriller. So it says, before, a man running along a remote cliff top path on an icy cold February morning. A woman standing on the cliff's edge, a red scarf on the ground between them. After, the man is alone on the cliff, adrenaline pumping through his veins. The woman is on the beach below, dead. The red scarf is also on the beach, beautifully and impossibly wrapped around the woman's broken neck. What happened? Two lives colliding by chance, or a revenge decades in the making? Next up we have The Wicked Sister by Karen Dion, and this comes out on the 4th of August. This is another mystery. I am having trouble. This video is taking far too long. Another mystery thriller novel. It says she thought she'd buried her past, but what if it's been hunting her this whole time? Next we have One of the Family by Sadie Pierce. This comes out on the 20th of August. What would you do to keep your child safe? This is exactly what I mean. So many let's kidnap a child kind of thrillers. I feel like they must be on trend or something right now, because otherwise I'd have bumped into more than this by now any other year. So yeah, another child-based kidnapping thriller. Next up we have We Are Family by NICOLA GILL. This comes out on the 3rd of September. You can't choose your family. Jess and Laura might be sisters, but they're very different people. Laura is laid back, eats cheese in bed and takes life as it comes. Jess, meanwhile, is a classic overachiever. Their family, they're not exactly friends. Something to do with a loss in the family, and yeah. Next up we have The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This comes out on the 15th of October. This is another one that initially pulled me in by the cover, and then I was intrigued to pick this up because I feel like it's got a very secret history of witches, very Louisa Morgan-esque feel to it for me. So it says, in 1893 there's no such thing as witches. There used to be in the wild dark days before the burnings began, but now witching is nothing but tidy charms and nursery rhymes. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it in a ballot box. But when three Eastwood sisters join the suffragists on New Salem, they begin to pursue the forgotten ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. Yeah, I just feel like it has such a Louisa Morgan-esque feel to it. Next we have Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. This is an author that I feel like I've seen Kayla from Books and Lala talk about a lot, and I've never read anything by this author, so I was happy to be able to grab one. This is set in New England. Ooh, now I remember I requested this specific book. When it happens quickly. New England is locked down. A strict curfew, the only way to stem the wildfire spread of a rabies-like virus. The hospitals cannot cope with the infected. Oh, I picked this up because it was a pandemic virus book. Okay. Next up we have The Less Dead by Denise Mina. This comes out on the 20th of August. And this is a crime thriller. Next we have Nowhere to Be Found by Louisa DeLange. This comes out on the 20th of August. And of course it's another thriller. All I know is what you can literally see on the cover, which is a missing woman, two dead bodies, a secret rising to the surface. I've got no other description, but I was intrigued enough on that alone to pick it up all the same. Next up is Every Move You Make by Deborah B. This comes out on the 20th of August. And of course it's another thriller because obsessed with them. It says, there are two sides to every story, but only one is the truth. Don't want to read much more than that in case it's spoilery. Next up we have Voodoo Heart by John Everson. This comes out on the 20th of October. So this says, when Detective Lawrence Ribord wakes alone in a bloody bed with his wife missing, he knows this is more than just a mysterious case of murder. His wife is the latest victim in a string of bizarre disappearances. All across New Orleans, on one night each month, people are vanishing, leaving behind nothing but a pool of blood on the bed sheets and an abandoned heart. I'm very intrigued in this one. Very intrigued. Next up we have Her Secret Son by Hannah Mary McKinnon. This comes out on the 26th of November and it says, would you still want the truth if it cost you everything? I don't want to look into it more than that with it being a thriller, but intrigued. Next up we have The Neighbours by Hannah Mary McKinnon. Sure, I've already had one by this author. Can't have done. Maybe it's a similar name. And this comes out on the 17th of September and it's another thriller. It says, new neighbours, old secrets. Abby's never been able to forgive herself. Nate has never been able to forgive himself. Soon there will be even more to forgive. Abby keeps their past a secret. The two couples become ever closer. There are deep, dark secrets buried on the street. Next up we have The Mother Code by Carol Stivers. This comes out on the 25th of August. And this is a mystery, thriller, sci-fi, fantasy kind of combination. And it says, what it means to be human and a mother is put to the test in this debut novel set in a world that is more chilling and precarious than ever. It's 2049 and the survival of the human race is at risk. Earth's inhabitants must turn to their last resort, a plan to place genetically engineered children inside the cocoons of large-scale robots to be incubated, birthed and raised by machines. But there is yet one hope of preserving the human order and intelligence programmed into these machines that renders each unique code in its own right the Mother Code. Next up we have One Eye Open by Paul Finch. Again, this is one I picked up because I'm sure I've seen Kayla from Books and LILAC mention this author, and that's where my original basis was. This comes out on the 20th of August. It's a mystery thriller novel. It says, if the lies don't kill you, the truth will. An electrifying, high-octane thrill ride, the new must-read standalone. Dark, gritty, always keeping you at the edge of your feet. You can run, you can hide, but you'll always sleep with one eye open. I'm intrigued. Next up here we have The Shadow Bird by Anne Gosslin. This comes out on the 15th of July. So 3 months into her new role as a psychiatrist at a clinic in New York, Erin I don't know how long I've been talking, about 40 minutes at this point. We'll try again, shall we? 3 months into her new role as a psychiatrist at a clinic in New York, Erin Cartwright is asked to evaluate the case of a man who murdered his mother and sisters at the age of 17. Next we have one that I was partly drawn in by the cover and partly drawn in by the title, and the combination of those two, like, I'm super excited for this one. This is called The Butcher of Berner Street and this comes out on the 12th of November. So I feel like this is a kind of Jack the Ripper rip-off, basically. The headlines scream warnings about the Butcher of Berner Street and the journalist behind them. Leo Stanhope is secretly thrilled to see the effect his words are having. Leo's previous work has been largely concentrated on more mundane issues, but when an anonymous letter summons him to a club in East London, only for the owner of the club to be found murdered shortly afterwards, Leo sees a story worth pursuing, not to mention an opportunity to make a name for himself. Yet the more Leo digs, the stranger the story becomes, taking him from the club to a nearby convent and into the past of a very unusual woman. But he is not the only one hunting for a killer, and it seems Leo's initial newspaper reports may have put someone in grave danger. Next up we have Dangerous to Know by Chloe Esposito or Esposito. I am terrible. This comes out on the 15th of October. This is a thriller described as a fast-paced tale of sex, lies and murder. And once serial killer Alvy Knightley was living the dream. Unlimited cash, an Italian getaway, a hot new boyfriend, how the mighty fall. 1 year and one very unfortunate incident later, Alvy is homeless, surviving on meal deals and counting her dwindling pennies. Don't want to know more than that. Next up we have House of Correction by Nikki French. This comes out on the 1st of September. This is an author who I've always been quite acutely aware of, and yet I've never picked up any of their work. So I was like, I need to check this book out. It says, she's a murderer. Everyone knows she killed Stuart Rees. Why else would his dead body be found in her shed? So now Tabitha is in prison awaiting trial. Yet I think people then think that she's not actually capable of the murder, but trying to prove that is another thing altogether. Next up we have The Smallest Man by Frances Quinn, and this comes out on the 2nd of February next year. That cover again is another stunning cover. This haul is just full of stunning covers. This is a historical fiction. I don't feel like I'm picking enough historical fiction up, and so I was glad for the chance to see one that really appealed to me. This is set in 1625 in London. Next up, and indeed finally, we have Paper Dolls by Lisa Bradley. This comes out on the 6th of August, and this cover stood out to me so much and was the main reason why I even considered looking at the description of this book anyway. So it says, you haven't forgotten, they haven't forgiven. Leah Wallace has just achieved her dream of becoming editor at a regional paper. On her first day, a 15-year-old girl, Hope Hooper Smith, is reported missing. The police fear that she has been abducted. What have I been saying this entire video? Kidnaps. Everywhere. Kids being kidnapped. Anyway, that has brought me to the end of this haul. I hope I'm able to edit this in some sort of reasonable pace so I can get this up on the day I'm hoping to. I hope we're not in too much darkness, because I got in from work and thought, I've got a full face of makeup, may as well film this video. Yes. It was light when I started filming. I've been talking for not far off an hour, and as a result I've lost a lot of light in that time. So yeah, hopefully this is somewhat visible. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you are interested in any of these books, or if you've read any of these books, or anything else you want to mention about books, what you picked up last month. Drop me a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.